Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. It's been requested more than once that we do a video revealing my full deck. This is not going to be a short video, and it's not going to be for everybody. So right now I'm telling you, it's going to be reviewing the deck, talking about some of my favorites, talking about some of the synergies there, maybe commenting on what I think some underrated cards might be. But it's going to be just kind of a meandering look at what my deck is and how I think about strategy around those cards. Okay, if that sounds interesting, like, subscribe, stick around. We do Splinterlands content here daily, and we're moving into the future. We're going to be doing some weekly giveaways also. So just stick with us, okay, guys? Thanks for all your time and attention. It's appreciated. So let's get into it. Okay, on my main deck, I really strongly prefer. Let's put it this way: red is one of my favorite splinters. We're going to go over to peak monsters. Actually, that's going to be a cleaner look at my collection. So here we go. Fire. What are we at? My fire collection alone is worth $9,800 US. Pretty wild. Pardon me. So we have the Pit Ogre. That's one of my main tanks. I certainly use it a lot. I own that card. It was a big deal for me when I finally got it. I think I sold my Cerebus. I used to have a maxed out Cerebus. I think I might have sold that to get the Pit Ogre, because I found the Cerebus, just while it's an excellent card, it doesn't compete in certain situations because it just lacks some of the traditional tank characteristics, like for instance shield or void or thorns. And this, on the other hand, has the void, and so magic damage is cut in half. Super huge benefit, especially when you're fighting against, like, magic is so meta. Actually, it's like, so many teams run the magic monsters, and to cut their damage in half right off the bat is awesome. Enrage is going to give him that extra damage when he gets hit, and then stun is going to stun the enemy. This is one of my newer cards, the Serpentine Soldier. It's a great card. I see it beats me a lot, so I ended up getting it. It's one of those, if you can't beat them, join them situations that we talked about. It's got the dodge and the intense 6 speed just to start with, and then you can amp that up with like a flame amp, or what's that other guy named? This little guy's a flame monkey. Or even by slowing your opponent using like this ooze ball or slime ball or whatever it's called. So that's one of the markers of the red team, is the speed, the melee focus, and their low mana cost, generally speaking. Those are things that I think about when I think about the red team. So let's keep looking at some others. Fire Beetle is a great card at higher levels. It does the snipe damage, and it's got the armor, which is great because it can take one punch, and then it's going to have one or two more hits afterwards. The one armor will take up to infinite number of damage as long as the enemy doesn't have magic snipe or pierce damage. Do you see what I mean? Like if an archer, if somebody hits this Fire Beetle with 4 or 6 damage, it's going to hit that armor, break the armor, but it's not going to touch that unless the attacker has pierce, which you see on the exploding dwarf. Elemental Phoenix is an amazing card. Before we talk about the dwarf, it's got the blast, and it's got the magic reflect, and it's got the dodge. These cards are so expensive, but it's an amazing card, and I remember I got it for like $40. Cobalt Miner is a great card. I'd never really had one until recently. I've acquired some alpha copies which aren't maxed out but are, playable. The one I use is at 42 BCX, which puts them at a level 6. People were asking me, what is BCX? BCX is the number of units of cards that are contained within this one card. What does that mean? When you get this card, you get one copy. In order to reach it to the next level, you need this. Let's go over here. when you get a cobalt miner, you get one copy. Um, one copy is level 1. Level 2 is 3 copies. So in order to reach level 2, I need to have 3 individual copies of the cobalt miner, and I need to merge them together, which effectively deletes 2 copies, leaving you with 1. So they all come together under one card, and they will forever and permanently be connected. You can no longer separate them, but you will then have a level 2. And then later 2 more gets you to level 5, and so on. You see that? So all the way up to level 10 is a maximum card, and you're going to need 505 copies if you're talking about the beta. The alpha, which you see here, has different denominations of every level, because alpha and beta are different series of this card. Okay? Um, so let's keep going. Goblin Shaman is a card I never really gave a lot of love to, but at this level, for level 5, with 25 BCX, it has both the slow and the weaken function with 1 magic and 3 hit points. For 3 costs, I like it at that level. You know, it's great if you could have it at level 10. You're going to have the 6 hit points and the increased speed. But first things first, the speed is irrelevant to me because he's not really a damage dealer. And second of all, the hit points would be great, but what are we talking about? We're gonna pay. It's $1.80 per unit. Are we going to spend $1.80 times 475? Am I going to spend $900 to make this guy have 3 more hit points? No, I'm not. Okay, so that's how I feel about the Goblin Shaman. The Giant Rock is another card that I never really had a lot of love for. I have a copy of it in both beta and alpha. I play it sometimes, but it's just underwhelming with the number of hit points that it offers. The trample is okay. I would like it if we could get up to, I would like it better if it had 1 more hit point, one more damage point. But when I compare the Giant Rock, for instance, over to the Magma Troll, which has 4 hit points, 4 damage, 5 hit points, same as the that Eagle card we just looked at, similar speed. Yep. This one doesn't have trample, but it does have affliction, which is such a great card because it cancels the enemy's heal on whoever he's hitting. So I'd rather use this one because it's cheaper, and I have a maxed out copy of it. Plus, this card, by the way, is from the Untamed deck, and as I've told you before, when cards are initially launched, they're so often cheaper than traditional similar cards. And the Magma Troll, look at the Magma Troll. What's the cost? They say 23 cents per BCX. So to get a maxed out copy, assuming there are no deals on the marketplace, you're talking 400 times 0.23 equals $92 to get a maxed out Magma Troll. Whereas with the maxed out Giant Rock, you're talking 0.95 times 505. So that's such a different price, right? What is that, $400 more? Again, if you have cards like this, I say sell the Giant Rock and then put it into some of those Untamed cards, which don't have the same amount of love and audience. You're going to come in, you're going to end up reclaiming some value that you can then disperse into packs or to, rentals or to other cards that will help your deck grow. I might even sell my Giant Rock now that I notice that. I don't want to get into every card. It's a little boring. You can see some of them. Some of my favorites, let's focus on that. This one's a really good card because I like it when the Blast is such an effective ability. It makes the damage hit the primary target that she is shooting at and the adjacent target. Spark Pixies, I love Stun too. Stun is a great ability because it's gonna take away a turn from whoever she's hitting if the stun takes effect. So often I'll do Goblin Fireballer with the Spark Pixies, and my tank will be the Pit Ogre, who also says stun, stun, stun. And then you throw in the Etten Spearman, who has a knockout, and the knockout will double the damage, assuming the target is knocked out or stunned when he strikes. Okay, so he's going to do 10 pierce damage archery attack in a situation where the target is already stunned. So that's a build and a synergy that I like with this team. There's some great sneak and snipers, or sorry, sneak and opportunity attackers on this team. Um, the Serpentine Spy is one of the best opportunity monsters in the game. Mine is not maxed out. Um, we talked a little bit about Exploding Dwarf in previous videos. This card's very powerful in certain situations, but it is you can't use it every game. It's just too few hit points. Um, that's all I want to say about fire. Two underrated cards actually: Goblin Fire Mage, Elf, Efreet Elder. Those are things I'm looking for appreciation in the future on. Let's go to water. Okay, water team. Spineback Turtle, great tank card. Sea Monster, great tank card. Kraken, great tank card. Torhilo, another tank card. Battle Orca, cheap tank card. Um, Lopstradamus, alternate magic tank card. Lots of great tanks with this team. Magic is one of their focuses. You got the Sea Genie and the Mermaid, the Ace Pixie, the Coral Wraith, Medusa. Ruler of the Seas is a legendary monster that is super overpowered, although it'll cost you a fortune. Um, Water Elemental is an amazing card, especially on the back end of your team, because it's got the dodge and the self-heal, plus a decent amount of hit points, and the speed is going to allow it to evade some sneak attacks, giving you protection from the back end. And plus the self-heal, if he does get hit once, he can sometimes out-heal the damage he's receiving. Crustacean King is one of the most important cards on this deck. It's got the Fortify and the tank heal. This is not even a maxed out copy, but level 6 I think is the level that you really want if you're going to get these critical abilities. Particularly, I mean the Fortify in particular. Frozen Soldier is another tank, but I don't rock with him very often. He's just too few hit points. Unless the game mode happens to include magic hits the armor, then maybe we can pull him out. Naga Windmaster is a great card. It's got the poison, the shatter, and the wind. This reduces my enemy's archery damage. And look at the speed again. So this team is quite diverse, but magic is their core. Now you aren't maybe seeing that when you look at my deck because I don't play this deck very often, so I'm renting a lot of cards and I've sold some also. But real success in this team with this Splinter is going to, generally speaking, be focused around their magic abilities. Let's carry on to Earth. Earth is one that I've always really enjoyed also. The Flesh Golem is an amazing card, and this is mine at level 8. I'm renting a gold copy level 10. The self-heal, the Void. Again, look, the Void is so important. And then the high hit points for your tanks. For this tank, this is also a tank, and he only has 5 hit points. And this costs the same as this. So let's ask the question, why? Why is this card the same as that card in mana cost? Well, first of all, this one's got 5 damage, this has got 3. This one's got some shields, which can sometimes give it more durability because it'll take one massive hit. 5 damage, 6 damage can soak into that thing and not necessarily kill him because it won't necessarily pierce through. But see, he has the Retaliate and the Enrage. So this guy, if you play him in the right situations, can kill 2 or 3 people just because of the Enrage. Which will bring his damage up to 8 or 9, 10 or 11 if you've got the right buffs. And then Retaliate, he hits everybody, 50% chance to retaliate when somebody hits him with a melee. So there you go. It's like if you walk him into a melee battle, he's going to chop off some heads before he goes down. The Minotaur Warrior, no thanks. I've never loved this card. Too much mana for what it offers, and it's just too few damage and too few hearts. No thanks. Spirit of the Force is one of the most important, most powerful cards from Earth, and it's because it's got the tank heal, it's got the fortify, it's got the flight, speed, a good amount of archer damage, good amount of hearts, but you're paying for it with 7 cost. So it's not a cheap mana card, but it's a great card. We talked about the Earth Elemental. It's an important card for the back end defense, just like we talked about with that Water Elemental. It's got that heat, the high hit points and the heal, so it can be on your back end, and it can slow down a sneak attack from your enemy, right? Because it's going to soak up some of that damage with self-heal and the high hit points. The Mushroom Seer is a really important card for this Splinter, especially at lower levels, because it's got the silence, which is going to nerf your opponent's magic damage. Wood Nymph is another card that's going to be really important at low levels and high levels. It's got that tank heal, and at higher levels, it's got the strengthen. Brownie is a card that, again, really important. It's going to give you the look. I only have level 4 because that's where you get the inspire. Sometimes you don't need the maximum. This is something to pay attention to. Same with the Wood Nymph. I'm using a level 8, and that requires 172 copies. What would a level 10 get me? 1 more speed and 1 more hit point for a ton more money. No thanks. Same with the Brownie. I've got 11 copies, which was worth something like $90. But if I quadrupled that, nearly quadrupled it, I would get 1 more heart and 1 more speed. No thanks. So understand what you would get. What would the next level bring you with your monster, and then ask yourself if it's worth it. Goblin Chef is a card that I never use, but that could be very valuable to you, especially if you have a summoner that buffs the archery damage for that cost, and with that ability, the affliction, and later on with poison. It's a great card if you have archery buffs. Chimer Princess, great card also with the triage and this tank heal, but you need level 8 to get that triage, and that's not cheap. Orc Sergeant, Untamed. How much is this card? This is about $160 to get you a maxed out copy. This is a good card. It's got that Inspire, and this is your secondary tank. It's got a good amount of hit points. It has reach, so it can sit in that second position, and it can amp every one of your melee monsters. And again, just another example with the Orc Sergeant about how the newer cards, Untamed, are so much cheaper than some of the old beta and alpha cards. Unicorn Mustang is a great new card. Again, from Untamed. It's got that Void for the abilities, then Magic Reflect later, and Piercing at the top. So many hit points also, 13 hit points and the 5 damage. Great speed also, great card. Kron the Undying, we already talked about that a number of times. It's an amazing card. Screeching Vulture, one of my favorites. Play it almost every time I play this Splinter. The opportunity is just so valuable to find vulnerability on your enemy's team, and then the Scavenge is going to give it more hit points as people die on the field. Spirit Shaman's great. It's got the Divine Shield, the stun, and the I forget what that's called, but it causes 1 damage to all of your enemies when this guy dies. This is an underrated card. Barking Spider does for 4 mana cost is going to do 3 archery at 4 speed with blind and 7 hit points. The blind is going to reduce your enemy's your ability to hit you by I think 15%, and might not sound like much, but it certainly helps, especially if you've got a monster at the front end that's got a lot of speed and maybe dodge. Oaken Behemoth is a very powerful secondary tank. I say secondary because he's got that reach, and you can just stick him behind to give him one more, a little bit more livelihood. It's helpful because he has the knockout, which means his damage is going to double. He has magic damage and melee damage. It's not showing it here, but he does. Let's go over to green. Got legendary. Look at, he's doing 2 magic and 3 melee. In peak monsters, they're not showing you that because it's probably just kind of a glitch. Like, they're not showing you in the druid picture that this guy does magic, but he does. So anyways, he does magic and melee, and he'll do that every turn. He'll do his magic, and then he'll do his melee. And his trample will only take effect if he kills you with melee, not with magic. Okay, this is an interesting ability that's new. Close archery. So this character is an archer. You don't see the damage, but she does damage. She does up to 4 archery damage at the highest level. And that, unlike most archery units, she will fire in the first position. Okay, so that's, in a nutshell, that's my green team. Let's keep going. I'm going to try and speed it up a little, but it's going to be hard because life and death are some of my favorites. Let's be quicker here. Best tanks: Silver Shield Paladin because of the shield and the magic reflect. Decent hit points and the archery, or I mean armor. Sacred Unicorn is an amazing because it's got the Define, the Trample, the Pierce, and the Self Heal with the speed and the hit points. Sometimes it gets obliterated against fast teams with big archery or big magic, though. A Shield Bearer is a great card, especially if your enemy looks like they always play archery, because he's got the archery reflect, the shield, and the taunt. Hero from Beyond is another close quarters archer, and he's got the Last Stand and the shield, so he can be a great card all by himself in some of the very small mana card games. Okay, now let's look at some of my other favorites in this team. Angel of Light is an amazing card, one of the best cards in the game. At highest level gives you Inspire, which gives you a buff on your melee attack, tank heal, flight, and resurrect, which resurrects your first enemy to die on the board. Great card. The Crystal Wolf is a nice one for the back end. He's got the Thorn and the Silence, so he can silence enemy magic by 1 damage, reducing it by 1 damage. Armorsmith is super important for the repair. Herbalist is a great card from the Untamed pack with the Triage and the Cleanse, with a little bit of archery damage, all for 2 mana. The Boatman is so valuable with the Repair, the Shatter, and the Snipe. I like to run the Boatman with the other sniper. Silver Shield something or other. Silver Shield Sheriff. He does 5 damage on archery with Snipe and Pierce. He also has Fortify, and Boatman gives you another Snipe for 3 with Repair and Shatter. The 2 of them can be very deadly together when you're playing Snipe on this team. Warrior of Peace is one of those cards. When I first saw it, I was like, this is going to be valuable. It's got so many hit points, plus look at the nerfs. It nerfs its enemies melee, archery, and magic. And it's got so much speed, it dodges occasionally, right? Baby Unicorn is like just adorable. Super cheap. It's nice that she's got the Divine Shield, the speed buff, and the hit point buff. But it's a niche character. This one is clutch. You need this character if you're going to do well with this team. It's got the double attack, the poison, the sneak. So she's going to attack on the back end twice a turn using 3, and it's going to give you the opportunity to poison that monster each time she strikes. So the enemy can only be poisoned once, but if she doesn't poison on the first try, she can maybe poison on the second. Okay, and then there's a lot of good new magic cards. Dice, Lunakari Mistress, Temple Priest from the reward deck, Kralis from Dice, High Priest from Untamed. This team really before was focused on its armor and archery. Now we're seeing a switch and a new direction where it's more magic focused. And then there's Divine Sorceress, who's old school. Yeah, it's a great team. With Death, some of my favorites you already know: Lord of Darkness, Haunted Spirit, Corrupted Pegasus, and Gorlodon, wherever Gorlodon is. Gorlodon. This thing is a beast. With the Enrage and the True Shot and the Reach, this is a secondary tank with huge hit points, and it's going to do 11 or 12 damage if you get the right buffs in place. There's a lot of magic damage on the Death Splinter also. And we look like Cthulhu or Ancient Lich or Death Elemental, Darkest Mage, Boogeyman, Fallen Spectre, Phantom Soldier, Screaming Banshee. That's a great one because it has the blast. This is a great one because it has the silence. Dark Enchantress with the magic, the speed, and the stun. Undead Priest. So there's a lot of magic on this team. But they're also pretty susceptible to magic because the Lord of Darkness doesn't have Void just naturally. Neither does Gorlodon, neither does Corrupted Pegasus. Yes, Haunted Spirit does, but this will get bulldozed by Lord of Darkness. And then Mini Corpse has the Void, but not enough hit points, not enough speed. These guys are really good at sneak too. You throw in the Assassin with the poison, tons of speed, and then there's another one. I like to play my team that I'll play with this is Lord of Darkness, Gorlodon, Pegasus in that order. So I'm doing 3 tanks, and then I'll do Shadowy Presence, and then I'll do Skeleton Assassin, and the Undead Badger. So it's tank, secondary tank, tertiary tank, um, melee buff with the Shadowy Presence, and then sneak. And I find that the speed that I'll have on the back end usually will help me dodge, and then it's just melee the whole way, right? I'm really counting on my Gorlodon and my Lord of Darkness to just delete the enemies, and they usually do. Tank or Dragon is just like a complementary splinter that you never run Dragon by itself. It works in tandem with one of the other splinters, and so you would pick Dragon Summoner, and then you would pick a secondary splinter, and then you can choose from the Dragon cards in front of you and the secondary splinter that we talked about. One of those we already talked about. So with this team, sometimes if I've got a low mana battle, I'll throw the Manticore as my secondary tank, or even my first tank if it's a really low mana game. 4 cost for 3 attack, 3 speed, flight, reach, and thorns with 8 hit points is pretty good. Camilla is a great summoner. She used to be really underrated. She used to cost $3 a unit. Now it's 46 a unit. I remember $2 a unit even on Camilla. The Vigilator is one of the best dragon cards in the game because it does 2 archery twice a turn, and it does 3 archery or 3 melee twice a turn. So it attacks 4 times per turn for 1 mana cost in 1 monster, and it has good speed and good hit points. So it's a nice one to put in your back end, particularly in situations where melee can attack from any position, which is one of the rule sets. The Lightning Dragon is also one of the best cards in the game, in my opinion. And it looks like the price reflects that fact. $180 per BCX times 11. So that's like a $2,000 card. 3 archery with the stun, with the sparkle damage, with the pierce damage, with the flight, 6 speed, so many hearts. An amazing card. Dragon Jumper is another totally not underrated, overpowered card. Stun, snare, opportunity, flight, speed, 5 hit damage, and 7 hearts. Dragon Knight is one of my favorites. It comes with 10 hearts, 8 shields at every level. No, I guess 9 hearts at first and 8 shield. 3 speed no matter what level. Plenty of damage no matter what level. And all these benefits like Void, Divine Shield, Piercing, Return Fire, Magic Reflect. At level 4, this thing is amazing. But mind you, it costs 11 mana. We're going to give one of these away, guys, on August 29th. One of these, I've got one of them listed for $500. I don't think it's going to sell. But I put it there because who knows? And then secondly, the other one is going to one of you guys. So tune in on August 29th for the giveaway to celebrate the 1K subs. And then Byzantine Kitty, one of the most overpowered summoners in the game, particularly because you can, like I said, Dragon can run with any of the other splinters. So I throw this guy with the Death Splinter, and suddenly he's buffing my Lord of Darkness in a huge way. Or I put him with my Earth Splinter, and he's helping out my Flesh Golem big time. There's just so many ways to play that one. So that's Dragon. That's my deck, guys. I actually got neutral. Let's quickly do neutral. Neutral's more boring. Cyclops is an important card. High hit points, shield, stun, decent archery damage, very slow. Enchanted Pixie is pretty. Everybody at the high levels has it with the Inspire and the Magic and the Flight. The Cockatrice at high levels is a common occurrence. It's super cheap with the crazy speed and the dodge, and it can be very effective in the first position despite its low hit points because you never hit it. Goblin Mech, I find it pretty boring, but I see it a fair bit. High hit points, the Pierce and the Stun are quite nice. Prismatic Energy is a nice magic neutral. If you're running an Alfric Stormcloak team, it's nice to get a few of these neutral magic monsters, because then it's going to buff every one of your other splinters, because these neutral monsters can run with any of the splinters. Enchanted Defender is an amazing card to have on the back end, except the 9 shield and the 1 heart and the thorns is going to make it a good protector against opportunity attackers or sneak attackers, unless of course they hit you with magic, which Some of them do, because that'll skip right by the armor. This is a good card at higher levels. It's got stun. I don't have it at higher levels. Tortesian Chief is excellent neutral healer. You can sometimes get three, even 4 heals on a team with stuff like this. Cornelius is another overpowered neutral monster with a magic reflect, the archery reflect, the thorns, the self heal, the high hit points, and the big archery damage. Gelatinous Cube, we've talked on and on about this. This is an amazing card. I'm currently renting out copies and making a good amount of DEC every day just because, and other people enjoy my card. Onyx Sentinel, you know what I think about this card. It's amazing. Sandworm, another amazing card. Almo Cambio, another super powerful card with a crazy high hit points, some of the best in the game. With these benefits is ludicrous. Phase with this and this speed is just bananas. You throw a couple healers supporting this guy, and he'll be very helpful even against magic heavy enemies. He's going to dodge some of it. He's going to reflect a lot of it. He's going to be immune to any sort of poisons and stuff like that. This is a great card. And one of these is going to be given away on August 29th, guys. So tune in. Like I said, that's 2 legendary cards. We're going to give away $50 worth of legendary cards. We're going to give away $200, $300, $400 worth of SPS. We'll see. We got DC for you guys. We're going to do some delegations. Let's celebrate. So come back on August 29th or every single day for that matter to check out some of the content around Gold Grind or Champion Grind. And for those of you interested, like I said, this is a long video, but I posted because you asked. Frankly, my throat hurts, and I'm sick of talking about my deck, but there it is for those who are interested. And the current market value for everything is $77,000 US. Lucky 777. Oh, okay. I am done. Thank you for your time and attention. Have an amazing day, and God bless.